So we're going to head into the last couple of videos which will bring us into line with what we did with Python. In other words, we're going to add data or add people to the database. Now, unlike Python, which didn't really have a very good graphical user interface, we get to use the text command line to add data in. We're now dealing with a phone which has a very large graphical user interface, so we're going to start with that. What I'm going to be doing, let's just check along here, see if I've got it, sandbox, there we go. We're going to be using add person, if you remember what that was. Let's just open that up. We're text edit so you can see it. This time we are going to take in the first name, the last name and the age, and we're going to do some processing on that. Again, if the age is less than 1, then we're going to have an error. It's not going to allow us to do it, so we need a positive age. Again, if things are missing, it's not going to work. Exactly the same as we did with the Python. So let's start with the graphical user interface. Now, I don't know what kind of phone you have or tablet. It could be this, could be portrait. Making a graphical user interface can be a real challenge, and probably a lot of design work will go behind it. I'm just going to do something straightforward where I've got a line of text and then a place to enter some details in, another line of text, a place to enter details, and so on, then the button, and beneath it the result. So it should work no matter which emulator you're using or phone or device you're using. It should be pretty useful. So let's go over to the main XML file. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to be putting one or two things into it. First of all, I'm going to get rid of the weights. We don't need weights anymore. So delete that and delete that weight. And also, I'm not going to have a linear layout. It's not going to be one after the other. They're going to be in order from top to bottom. So I need now a relative layout. And we did change this from the beginning. Now we're going back to it. So I've now got my relative layout. What I'm going to have is a text view. Which one is this one? This one's the JSON. So let's start just creating them. The first one that I want is sort of just a title for first name. So I need a text view for this. Now this time I'm not going to have the width as wrap content. I'm going to have it match the parent. So we've just got one line all the way across the top of the screen. So each label, each edit box, they're going to be all the way across the screen, but the height is going to be a wrapped content. Not only that, each and every single item that I put in here, whether I use it in the program or not, is going to have its own ID. Because how the relative layout works is it uses the IDs to either place things above or place things below a particular ID. So I'm going to give everything an ID. So this one, this is going to be for the first name. Okay, so I'm going to have first name, last name, age, press the button, and the results. So I'm going to call this one a view, and what it is, the first name. That's my first text view. Obviously something's not happy here. And I'm going to have text, because I want to know, this is just a label giving me a prompt to say that what I need to enter is the first name. All become clear shortly. So first name, there we go. So that's my first one. So the next one down that I want is going to be the box to enter the details in. In other words, the edit box. Now at the moment I've got this one called text input. I'm going to change that ID from text input to text first name. I'm also going to change the wrap content. I don't want wrap content anymore. I want it to match the parent, and the height will be wrapped. And the only thing that I want to do now is indicate, because this is relative, that this edit text box will be below this text view. So I can do that with a command, Android layout. Now the layout that I want is Android layout below. Now there's quite a few of them down here, so there we go, Android layout below, and I have to specify the ID of the element I wish to make it below. So this one is view first name, so I put in the ID and then type view first name. So that is going to be a box which is below the first name. So that's good. We're going to do this for each and every single field that we have on. So the next one I want is going to be a text view. Better if I use a capital T. A text view. Again, we're going to match the parent for the width. We're going to wrap the content, and we're going to give it an ID. And this one is going to be for the last name. So ID, and it is the view. Now what I mean by view is we're not going to type into it, it's just going to be a label on the screen. View last name. And I need to put the text on it so that I can see it. Android text equals last name. And now I also need to specify that this needs to be below the first name, the text first name box. So I'm going to have an Android layout below, and the ID is text first name. So that's the label for it. Now I need the edit text. Now I could copy and paste these, but I may get a little bit of confusion with the resource file because I'll have matching IDs. So I'm going to type them out as they are. Edit text. Not only that, it's going to give you quite a lot of practice in setting these up. So Android ID, and don't forget this ID is the last name, so I need to specify at plus ID text last name. I will have to change my program because I had input in my program. I'll need to change it for the correct value when I get it. Chances are I'll forget it and we'll get an error. Then I need Android layout below, and ID being view last name. So I've got my two. I need my third one for age now. Actually, let's just see if copying will help me out. I'll copy both of these and place them in. Oops. So this one would be, let's be careful here, the item is going to be age. The text is going to be age, and it's going to be below text last name. And the actual text box, notice we've got an underline here saying that we've used the same ID twice. So the text box is going to be text, or the ID, sorry, is going to be text age, and that is going to be after the view age. If you followed me, well done. It's quite a difficult process, but this will make sense when you see it. So now my button is going to be the same. I don't want to wrap the content, I want it completely across the screen. So that also has to be match parent. I'm not going to bother about the height. It's got its ID, but I need to say its position in the grand scheme of things. Android, whoops, Android layout below, and it's going to be below text age. I think I made a mistake somewhere. I'll come to it in a second, I'll just check. Make sure all these belows have got the full qualified, so we need the at and the plus. Yeah, seem to be fine. And finally, the results. Now, don't forget, with add person, we're not getting any database results back. We're just going to get a message whether we've been successful or if something is missing. I'm actually going to take the text out. I don't want any text there whatsoever. Again, it's going to be match the parent for the width, height, wrap content. It's got its ID, which I need to pick up in the program, and I just need to say that it is below button press. Okay, hopefully I've managed to get all of those things right. Chances are I will have made a mistake somewhere along the line, which is usually the way it goes. I'm going to change just this in my program so I don't have a crash. Although I don't think I will do, because even though I changed it, it will remember the old one. That seems fine. So I'm going to run it, see what happens, and then move on to actually doing the programming behind all of this. So let's see if it's worked. If it has, I should just see, obviously, there we go, I can't find symbol text input, so let's change that. Text first name. And we'll deal with these things shortly when we come to the programming. This is just to make it work. So let's take a look. Hopefully I'll get a nice screen. Won't do a great deal. Still waiting and waiting. And here we go. There we go. That's what I was after. So I can now type into all of these areas and press my button. It's not going to work. It'll probably crash. We got an error message anyway, so no results returned, so that's good. But that is the layout: first name, last name, and age, just to make it a nice form, which is usable on anything. So if it's in portrait mode, it'll look like this. If it's in landscape mode, it will still look like this, just wider fields. And if you've got a small phone or a large tablet, then it's going to adjust the size, but it's always going to look like this. So a very basic design, but practical. So let's stop the program and then we can move on.